We are back at it once again. This is episode 2 of Peak Graps Mayne with yours truly, your number one South African correspondent for all things All Elite, Tembelihle Patrick Bonda, and you can call me Mr. Bonda if that's too complicated for you. You know. um, Today I am covering AEW Dynamite from last night. The 3 hour special, which is 2 hours of Dynamite and 1 hour of Collision. Um, so the this is the follow up to AEW Double or Nothing from Sunday night. Um, so we opened the episode with my boy, my number one boy, my favorite wrestler in the world right now, William Peter Charles Ospreay, walking in to an interview with Renee Paquette. I was asking him how he was feeling after his victory against Samoa Joe in the opening of the Men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. And my boy is feeling himself. He's feeling great because he conquered somebody he looked up to, growing up and aspiring to be a professional wrestler. So he talks about like how good he feels and like the momentum is on his side and he's one step closer to becoming a future AEW World Champion. And then he walks into the trainer's room, and what do you know? He meets Kenny Omega there, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I want to see. This is the match that I have been campaigning for literally since the idea of Will Ospreay main eventing All in London on the 30th of August was like in the atmosphere. I was like, we have to get Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the AEW World Championship. Because that trilogy is about to bang, boy, and I am so excited for it, man. So he meets Kenny in the trainer's room, fresh out of his victory from Stadium Stampede as well at Double or Nothing. And Kenny just wants to talk to Will about his involvement with the Death Riders. The Death Riders, me, I'm not a fan of the Death Riders. So Kenny is like basically warning Will Ospreay that don't put your trust too much on these guys, man. Like especially John Moxley. Their leader is somebody who will stick his knife in your back and twist it, whenever it is convenient for him to do so. So basically telling him to keep one eye open when he's sleeping. Because you never know when you're dealing with the Death Riders. And he was telling Will about how if he needed help coming back from his neck surgery and he needed, recuperation and recovery and, finding himself again as the top tier performer, the aerial assassin that he is, he should have called him. Like, he knows where he's at, just call me up, man. Like, I'm here to help you, because the both of us have incredible chemistry and we have accomplished many great things, not only in just AEW, but in New Japan and PWG, so on and so forth. So Will Ospreay is like, no, I hear you, big bro, but you're not here on a weekly basis also. So it's very difficult, like, to get a grasp, to get a hold of you sometimes, because you're not always at work. And to be fair, that is correct. Kenny is not as a regular. He used to be like earlier this year, like when he was having these matches, these tag team matches, and his feud with Swerve and his brilliant match with Andrade, El Idolo, La Sombra. Love you, Andrade. More on him later. So yeah, Will Ospreay tells him, man, like, you need to pull up to work, like show up, put in those hours again, man. You Kenny Omega, you the best bout machine. You're the god of pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying? And Kenny's like, yeah, but it's not as easy as it used to be for me, you know, like I'm getting older now and I can't recover as quickly as I used to, like say 4, 5, 6 years ago. You know, he needs to get his mental right, like more so than the physical aspect of Graps. So yeah, and then John Moxley decides to show up. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's good advice, Kenny." And if you know anything about the history of Kenny Omega and John Moxley, is John Moxley's first rival when he came into AEW was Kenny Omega in 2019. Showed up after his match against Chris Jericho, and he attacked both of them. He attacked Chris and Kenny, and that led to their match at AEW Full Gear 2019, a lights out match, one of the best matches in company history. I love that match. I've probably watched it like 18 times, no exaggeration. I'm probably gonna watch it again. I tend to do this thing like prior to a pay-per-view, I go back to watch my favorite matches of said pay-per-view in previous years. So for example, when AEW Full Gear 2026 rolls around, I'm gonna go back to AEW Full Gear 2019 to hype myself up to modern day. So I'll go 2019, my favorite match in 2019, which was that one, 2020, 2021, so on and so forth. So yeah, man, these guys fought for the AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega turned heel and went on his fantastic belt collector reign in 2021. 2021 was a great year, bro. Just for wrestling, all in all. You know, Kenny cheated to beat Moxley to win the championship, and they had an exploding barbed wire death match. They have a deep history with each other, you know. Another steel cage match where Don Callis turned on Kenny, and so on and so forth. So they have a history. You know, they haven't been particularly friendly with each other in the past. So yeah, Kenny just warns Mox that, hey man, watch your six, bro. So Mox is like, yeah, we all have our skeletons in the closet, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you live, you learn, you grow. And he tells Osprey to meet him out back because they're gonna have a match later. Oh, and before Kenny left, he said like, okay, well, I'll leave you to it. We'll go ahead and do your neck bridges or whatever Death Riders do in their spare time. And yeah, I'll see you down the road. And just before he leaves, Osprey is like, Ken, don't give up on that chase for the AEW World Championship again, man. Like, you know, I know you want this match. You know you want this match. Everybody who watches All Elite Wrestling wants this match. So yeah, and it's also been announced that there's going to be a inaugural pay-per-view on the 26th of July, which is AEW Redemption. It's going to be taking place in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, in the Central Bell Arena. I think I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. So the writing's on the wall. It's going to happen, and Kenny's going to regain the AEW World Championship, and we will get him versus Osprey Part 3 in the biggest pay-per-view in AEW's calendar. Very excited about that. And then moving on to the next segment, we had Kevin Knight, recently off his heel turn on Darby Allin after the main event of AEW Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. So if you remember from my previous video, if you watched the show, of course, Kevin Knight showed up after the match as MJF was, you know, standing over Darby's body on the stretcher, and it looked like he was there to like fend him off, like to save Darby from MJF like shenanigans. But instead, he used it as an opportunity to hit a UFO splash from the top rope to the stretcher onto Darby Allin and flipped him over. I'm like, gee, Please, dude, come on. You're such a great babyface. I love babyfaces. You know, I understand the role of a heel and to enhance character and whatnot, but I love people who are like authentic, natural babyfaces. And Kevin Knight is that to me. Like he's a good guy, man. You know, he's a suave, he's a debonair. You know, he's a young black man. He's athletic. You know, he's the current TNT champion. He's too fly. You know what I'm saying? But now it's just a whole new demeanor, and basically his explanation was Darby Allin let him down because his speech to him prior to Double or Nothing in the Go Home show was like, "Don't let the Jet down. Don't let these people down. Go ahead and beat Maxwell Jacob hair transplant." That's what I like to call him because he did get a hair transplant. Friedman, MJF. Um, it's like you gotta beat this guy, bro. Like you can't let him become 3-time AEW World Champion because he's gonna be obnoxious. He's gonna be insufferable, as you will hear later in his post-match celebration. And yeah, like make sure you get the job done. Basically, is what the Jet was saying to Darby. And Darby unfortunately did not manage to get the job done because fatigue just came on him, man. Like he ran out of steam and MJF capitalized, and he's the new AEW World Champion for the third time. Boo! You suck, Max! I want him to go bald, man. But yeah, so the Jet was talking about how, like, um, I wasn't even on the Double or Nothing card, and I'm the TNT champion. So, like, what do I look like some bench player? Like, I always deliver when I step into the ring, which is facts. The man knows how to cook in the ring. Like, make no mistake about it. He's one of the best young wrestlers in the world today. And I agree with him to that specific point because I would have rather had a Kevin Knight TNT Championship defense instead of like a John Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly match, or the overdrawn Stadium Stampede. I feel like we could have had a Kevin Knight TNT Championship defense there instead. It would have been a much better match. You know what I'm saying? You know, built to other like furthering other storylines with him and his rivals, so on and so forth. But just when he was saying all this, his tag team partner, Speedball Mike Bailey, shows up to admonish his bro. Like, dude, like, what are you doing, man? Like, you know, you're a very ambitious guy, but in your ambitions, you tend to get a little ahead of yourself. You know, you make mistakes, and it leads to situations like these. Like you blow things out of proportion, and you end up betraying somebody who did nothing wrong to you, essentially. So Mike Bailey was pleading with him to like go ahead and apologize to Darby, man. Like, let's put this whole thing behind us. It was a mistake. And yeah, this is not who you are. You know, this is not Kevin Knight. This is not the Jet that we've come to know and love in AEW. And Kevin Knight was like, "Yeah, I hear you, man, but like I've already made up my mind at this point. This is who I am. This is who I want to be." And he's not here to take part. He's here to take over. That's his mentality walking into this. So Mike Bailey extends his hand for a handshake, and Kevin Knight looks like he's gonna, you know, accept and like apologize, but he just shrugs him off. Of course, a look of disappointment of Speedo Mike Bailey. Another great young team that I love breaks up as Kevin Knight hits Mike Bailey with the microphone, and he gives him essentially a Uranagi, a rock bottom, center of the ring, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't think we can be friends anymore because we don't have the same vision anymore. You know, like I'm trying to do my own thing. I'm trying to elevate my status in the business." I guess in his mind, he feels like Mike Bailey is a bit complacent, especially after they lost the AEW World Trios Championships earlier this year to the Don Callis family. Uh, oh, and they won them back, and then they lost them again to the Dogs. Yeah. So Kevin Knight wants to do his own thing, and Mike Bailey. Thankfully, Mike Bailey didn't turn heel with him because I heard a lot of speculation that people are saying that like he's gonna join him in this bad guy trajectory of his. I'm like, nah, bro. Speedball is too good of a baby face, man. I will never boo him. That's one thing for sure. Even if he does turn heel someday, which I hope he doesn't. But even if he does, I'll never boo Speedball, bro. He's too great. He's too great, bro. It's like Karate Kid times 20, like real life action hero kind of guy. I love Speedball. So Kevin Knight betrays him and he walks to the back. Next segment, we have, unfortunately, Chris Jericho versus Ricochet. With everybody banned from ringside, which was a stipulation made, I guess, earlier, just before Dynamite took to the air. Ricochet was interviewed backstage about his loss at Double or Nothing, but he's like, yeah, I'm not even the one who got pinned, you know what I'm saying? It was Bishop Khan. But none of that matters now because, Jericho needed 6 other guys to make himself relevant again, which is true. And that's what it took to put him down. So tonight you'll have no excuses, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be mano a mano, one-on-one, no interference. Match takes place. Chris Jericho unfortunately wins. And as a big fan of Trevor Ricochet, man, this is extremely disappointing to me because I want to see him elevate himself in this business. I want to see him get into the main event picture eventually. I want to see him, like, if it's not an immediate thing, I'd love to see him interact with your Takeshita's and your Okadas. I want him to be in that scene. Like, I want him to challenge Kevin Knight for the TNT Championship. I want him to face Jon Moxley and take away the Continental Championship from Jon Moxley. I want to see him fight Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, as I've mentioned. Like, that would be a much better usage, I feel, of Ricochet right now. Instead of feuding with this 55-year-old guy, again, I'm not a fan of old man Graps. I don't care about old niggas trying to prove themselves in the Big 26. You've done it already. You've had your 30-year career. Congratulations. You can lay it down now. You don't have, like, your value as a legend in wrestling doesn't only depend on what you do in the ring. You can, like, spread your expertise about this business and what you've learned and accomplished outside of the ring as well, is what I'm getting to. Like, guys like Jericho, Cope and Cage, everybody over the age of like 45 and whatnot. Like, wrap it up, big bro. like wrap it up, Punk. Cut it out, man. Like, we've seen you already. And my most frustrating thing about Chris Jericho specifically is that he doesn't put anybody young over. The reason why people don't like Sammy Guevara, outside the heinous thing that he did, that he tweeted years ago, which he has apologized for, is his ties to Chris Jericho, man. Like, Sammy Guevara had to make himself small so that Chris Jericho can get his bits off, which is something that I'm not a fan of, because as a veteran, it is your duty at this specific point in your career to put the youth over, to show them that it's not all on me, bro. I've done my part in this business. I have a Hall of Fame resume. I have nothing left to prove. It's up to you to prove yourself. Now, giving them the opportunity to do so is your job. So making sure that they get the same opportunities you did coming up in the business and elevating them, from mid-card, tag team to main event eventually. That hasn't happened for Sammy Guevara. And he's legit, an incredible professional wrestler. I love Sim Guevara, the Spanish God, one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions currently. But he should be in the same conversations as MJF and Darby Allin, you know, like a main event caliber guy. Like he should be one of the young guys who is in conversations of being the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. Which yes, he did face Darby Allin on Collision, but I'm saying like he should be consistently around the main event picture, the main event scene, which he hasn't been because he had to take a backseat to everything Chris Jericho was doing. It's like if Chris Jericho needed help in a feud, he is gonna call Sammy Guevara. If Chris Jericho gets beaten by a bunch of guys that don't like him, he has to call Sammy Guevara. Like Sammy Guevara has to drop everything that he's doing in order to help this guy. And Sammy Guevara had his best, I believe, stint in AEW when he was by himself, when he was doing his own thing, when he was TNT champion 4 times, when he was feuding with Scorpio Sky, underrated rivalry in my opinion. When he defeated Miro for the TNT championship, when he defeated Cody for the TNT championship at Beach Break AEW Beach Break 2022 in that incredible ladder match with that beautiful Chris Cutter springboard from the ladder. It was beautiful. I can talk about it all day. I love these guys. So yeah, man, like Chris Jericho wins and Tommaso Ciampa surprisingly shows up and beats him up post match. Which I hope that leads to if Chris Jericho loses this match, he must retire because I'm tired of him, man. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Yeah. So Tommaso Ciampa is looking like his next rival. Hopefully he doesn't stay in a Jericho vortex, and he beats him. Like he beats him, he gets rid of him, and he elevates his status as well. Um, moving on. We set up a backstage segment for Andrade, my 2026 Wrestler of the Year so far. And he was talking about his aspirations of also going for the AEW World Championship against MJF. So he was talking about how, like, Max is feeling himself. He just became the champion and whatnot. But he really thinks that he's better than the real Latino man? Nice. No, 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 no. So, like, yeah, he's throwing his name in the hat to become the next AEW World Champion contender, which I'm looking forward to. It's probably going to be one of MJF's defenses, like heading to AEW Redemption, which as soon as it was announced, I'm like, that's where you're dropping that championship, nigga. That's where it ends for you. So yeah, Andrade is still in the main event picture, which I love, and he's also going to be in a big match soon in New Japan Dominion. He will be defending his IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship against Drilla Moroni. Drilla Maloney and Shota Umino, one of my favorite young Japanese wrestlers as well. I love Shooter, man. Like, people have been giving him crap for the last 3-4 years, and I'm like, this guy has potential to be the next greatest IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, the next greatest just wrestler in Japan, period. And he's getting up there, like every time I see him in the ring, he's improving himself, especially since last year's G1. I'm like, this guy, bro. I love Shooter, man. But yeah, that's gonna be coming up soon. And yeah, um, next contest was a four-way between Orange Cassidy, Rouge, Brian Cage, and Leo Rush. Fun match, started off with a couple of lariats exchanges between Brian Cage and Rouge. Had these layered exchanges like German suplex, and Leo Rush with his crazy self is like going back and forth with Orange Cassidy and eventually knocking him out of the ring, hitting him with what I call the Kushida special, which is like basically a springboard handstand, like, and then he hits you with the back of his legs and then you fall. So he did that twice. Um, Setting up, his momentum in the match as well. Um, but he gets cut off by Brian Cage. Hits him with a freaking stalling suplex. I love the power of Brian Cage, bro. Like, this man is a specimen, bro. Like, his muscles have muscles. Like, it is incredible, bro. Like, he physique, like, his cora, like, this is a machine, you know what I'm saying? Hits him with that stalling suplex from the apron to the inside. Here it's a contest between him and Claudio, like who has the best one. But I give the edge to Brian Cage because it's just like so impressive the way he does it. Um, so Orange Cassidy gets back in the flow of things. He hits his tope con hero, you know. Does his twisting, there's tornado DDT, you know. Rouge also gets back in there, gets cut off by Leo Rush, who hits a switch kick. Love that move. Leo Rush tries to get momentum back again. It gets hit with a massive discus lariat by Brian Cage. So Orange Cassidy, there's a point in the match where like Brian Cage is on the floor. Orange Cassidy goes to the top rope. Orange is like he's the lethargic wrestler. Like he's a comedy wrestler, right? But he's a comedy wrestler who, when he locks in, like he locks in, he becomes a wrestling machine. But he's doing his lazy elbow drop in this one. Um, there's also like a jackhammer spot from Brian Cage in this match. Falcon Arrow. Orange Cassidy managed to hit a stun dog millionaire. And then as he was on the outside, the Don Callis family interferes. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. But then again, it's a fatal four way, so there are no rules. Lance Archer shows up with Rocky Romero, and Jake Doyle comes back from injury, and I'm like, yes, I love this guy. This is another heavyweight hooper in the DCF. I'm hoping we get, now that Mark Davis is currently the AEW national champion after he beat Jack Perry for it. We get, because Jake Doyle was Mark Davis's partner prior to his injury. I hope we get Jake Doyle and Brian Cage, like as the official tag team of the Don Callis family moving forward. It's like they're gonna cause a lot of damage in the AEW World Tag Team Title division. So Jake Doyle comes back. Leo Rush is in the ring with Rouge now, because Brian Cage and Orange Cassidy are outside of the equation. Leo Rush hits his come up, which is like a springboard stunner from the bottom rope. Great move. But Rouge managed to recover quickly, takes him to the outside and does his like famous, his infamous barricade smashes, like puts you to the other barricade, takes you to the other side and just throws you like a sack of potatoes. And then he puts him back in the ring, man, and he sets up for the kill shot. If you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Hits him with that drop kick, snaps his head back, puts him in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. El Toro Blanco Rouge picks up the win, and this essentially sets him up as the next number one contender for the AEW World Championship, because he's been getting a lot of wins recently on TV. So yeah, goes backstage, uh, cuts to Kevin Knight meeting up with MJF. Uh, so Max thinks that uh, for some reason, because he's always delusional, that Kevin Knight is on his side in this entire situation. And Kevin Knight's like, well, see, what I did for Darby Allin wasn't for you. It was for me. And don't get it twisted. Just because I did what I did doesn't mean I've forgotten about the AEW World Championship. I still want to become Jet 2 belts. I want to be the first man to hold the TNT Championship and the AEW World Championship at the same time. Yeah, I'll see you soon too, down the road. And just know, I've already beaten you this year. Max, he shrugs it off and whatnot. And then Cal Fletcher shows up into the picture. And he's like, hey, nice belt you got there. If you know, Cal Fletcher was TNT champion prior to his injury. Forced him to relinquish it. And the judge is like, yeah, it looks good on me. It looks better on me, actually, than it did on you. I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is. It's like, maybe teasing a match between them, which I'd love to see later down the road. And yeah. So Alex Windsor is also interviewed by Renee Paquette backstage, and she was talking about how she's gearing up for her match in the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament against the wild card, question mark. Who is question mark? I hope and pray that is Mercedes Moné, my glorious CEO, my 2025 Women's Wrestler of the Year. I miss her so much. Tell her to come back to work. If it's not Mercedes, I'm hoping that we get maybe a Danny Luna getting signed. I hope it's somebody like that, like a new, fresh name into the company to inject some new blood, some fresh blood, some new prospects in this AEW Women's division, which is also AEW Women's division it's not doing the things, man. It's not doing the things, and it needs to drastically improve. So Windsor's talking about how she's excited, and it doesn't matter who it is that shows up to work next week, that she'll put her down and she'll advance in the tournament, so that her and her man's Will Ospreay, her husband, walk out of Wembley as both respectively AEW World and AEW Women's World champions, which would be a beautiful visual, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a sucker for love. Although I've never experienced it myself properly. It doesn't matter. I'm happy for other people. So next we get MJF's celebration of his victory at Double or Nothing, and of course his braggadocious hair comes out here dripped in gold, wearing a gold, I don't know, it was Gucci, Versace suit, whatever, with this Burberry scarf and elaborate entrance. They have him on this freaking, what do you call those things? Like the things that kings used to, like those chairs that people hold up. Yeah, they brought him in with that, and he brought back, of course, his Triple B, his custom made brown leather strap, dookie color championship, and he disrespected the one that Darby held, which is the original. He threw it in the trash can even. Boo this guy, man. He's terrible. So yeah, he enters the ring and he talks about how he's the 8th man in history to become 3-time world champion in Graps, and how he's a generational talent, and everything is going to be so much better because it's all about him, and everybody should bow down to him because he's the greatest of all time and he's the best in the world. All the pomp and circumstance. Boo. There's even a flag that shows up behind him, huge writing 3-time world champion. And then Mark Briscoe shows up. I'm like, okay, Mark Briscoe, they were rivals last year. Mark Briscoe also wants a shot at the AEW World Championship. And I'm like, not enthused about that one. I'm not, like, I love Mark Briscoe. No, don't get it twisted. But also, he's also on the getting older side of things, you know what I'm saying? And, I mean, to be fair, he has a victory over MJF, so it's only right that he also gets a shot at the AEW World Championship, which probably will happen down the line. And MJF declines. He's like, nah, fam, like, I'm not just gonna hand out opportunities to you like that. You know, you're not marketable as an AEW World Champion because you're like a country bumpkin from Sandy Fork, Delaware. It's like the disrespect on Mark Briscoe's name, bro. A Ring of Honor legend, you know, in my Mount Rushmore, along with Jay Briscoe, of course. Rest in peace. Um, it's like, yeah. So Max declines the offer or the challenge, and as he is about to walk backstage, Sehua, as about his whatever, walks backstage, Rush shows up behind him and is like, listen, SA, I'm coming for your championship. I'm like, okay, Rush, you've been getting momentum recently, and I see what you're talking about. I see what you're hollering about. Since you have earned this shot this year, I will give you the opportunity to challenge me for this AEW World Championship next week on Dynamite. Um, so, well, first he teased that it was going to happen in the main event of tonight, which he never does that because Max barely wants to even show up to work. He barely wants to wrestle. He just wants to talk all the time about how great he is and defend the championship as less times as possible. Because that's how he accumulates days, you see, as champion. He tries to run away from the grind. But alas, the match is official. It will be taking place El Toro Blanco Rouge versus MJF for the AEW World Championship next week on Dynamite. What do we get? Next we have Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King in the men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Not my favorite match of theirs. I feel like they've had better matches with each other, especially like in the Continental Classic and on Collision. This was more on the sloppy side. I felt like there were some miscommunication points, like just when like the stuff was getting good, you know, like the uppercuts, the chops, the lariats, uh, there was a tope. Brody King was going for a tope into a European uppercut. Reversed a neutralizer as well. Claudio hit his Eurocut, but there were points in the match where like it felt janky, like they were not on the same page almost. Yeah, it's not up to the standards that they have raised for themselves. You know what I'm saying? In the past. So, Brody King ends up with a win with his lariat, lariato. You know, shout out to Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody and Kenta Kobashi with his freaking burning lariat. One of the nastiest clotheslines you'll ever see in Graps. That man, Kobashi Kenta, bro. What an OG, what a legend. But yeah, Brody King picks up the win and he advances in the Owen. So we'll be seeing him taking on Swerve's house, Swerve Strickland, the most dangerous man in AEW, coming up. So next we get Adam Copeland and Christian Cage coming to celebrate their AEW World Tag Team Championship victory over FTR in the I Quit match at Double or Nothing. Not happy about that. I wanted FTR to retain. But alas, they do their 2001 nostalgia thing, yay, these guys, old Canadian men. Cope reveals that he has a bag filled with disposable cameras because that was their gimmick a long time ago. It was like, for the benefit of those with flash photography, we'll be doing 5-second poses. Whatever. And Christian was like, yeah, I'm not doing that crap. Very grumpy old man, because of course. It's like, yeah, people don't even have like flash photography anymore. It's like, what are you gonna do? It's like, no, don't worry. I bought them in bulk for this specific situation. And then he handed it out to the crowd in the arena. Yada, yada, yada. And the War Dogs show up. Just the dogs. It's gonna take some getting used to because Bullet Club War Dogs is a much better name, anyways, for David Finlay and Clark Connors, who spoil the party for them. And they attack them, they attack Christian Cage's injured arm, they put it under stairs, they lay out Copeland as well. And, they steal the gimmick now. They do the 5-second pose, putting down the old man, and I'm like, yeah, these are the guys that I want to see in the AEW World Tag Team title picture. The young, the up and coming, the hungry, the ones who are willing to prove themselves, doing whatever it takes to become the next best in the land of professional wrestling. So yeah, that's definitely gonna set up their first, Copeland Cage's first AEW World Tag Team title defense against David Finlay and Clark Connors, which they're probably not going to win, but I hope they do. So, yeah. Something to look forward to. Backstage segment for Swerve. There was not enough wrestling on this show. Understandably, because, people went all out, all pun intended, at Double or Nothing. So there's a lot of banged up dudes, a lot of nagging injuries from the going hard style on the pay-per-view on Sunday. So there are a lot more talking segments, which, well, to be fair, it is establishing what's about to happen next, what's about to transpire in the following weeks and months to come. So Prince Nana, excited as he was, talking about his boss. You saw what we did to Bandido? We put him down. And Swerve Strickland is the most dangerous man in all elite wrestling, and he's going to win the Owen Cup. And he's going to seize the AEW World Championship for a second time. Like, yeah, boy. Swerve was hyped, and he was like, I don't even know where Bandito is after what I did to him on Sunday. But I don't really care. My goal is to get power in this business and to become the next AEW World Champion. And the next obstacle in my way is Brody King, a man who I have defeated earlier this year. So it was also talking about how in 2016 Swerve is the reason why people even knew Brody King's name, because that's what helped him break out in the industry. That's when he started getting recognition for himself as, Big Brody King. So yeah, that's a match that is following in the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament. And then we had Jack Perry versus Mark Davis in the Owen. In this match, I bet it was good because I couldn't see it. Freaking internet decided to crash out on me, and I only saw the tail end of the match. So I had to go back like earlier this morning to, like, when I woke up, to see what's up, like, how did it go. Of course, these two have tremendous chemistry with each other. This is their third match this year. First match Jack Perry won. It was for the AEW National Championship. And then in the rematch at AEW Farewell to Hell, Mark Davis got his win back and he became the new AEW National Champion. And this was their trilogy in the Men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Fun match, Jack Perry's just throwing himself around, going his Los Angeles peak lucha libre style against this big burly Australian man, Dougzilla Davis, proudly representing the Don Callis family, showed up with an eye patch uh, because he was selling the offense from the Stadium Stampede. And yeah, he ended up winning with an avalanche pile driver. Disgusting. And I was like, after somebody does it to you, you're not kicking out, bro. Like, and Mark Davis is an expert at delivering Texas pile drivers. Well, he has numerous variations of pile drivers. My favorite of his is the deadlift pile driver. He lifts you up from your legs, throws you into the sky, and then just drops you on your freaking head. He calls it something that I will not mention for the sake of, I don't want to be too vulgar. Just close your eyes and count to F. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what that means. So yeah, he puts away Jack Perry with this, and he advances in the tournament, which is setting up his rematch with Will Ospreay. Man, he has defeated earlier this year by ref stoppage. When they had their match on Dynamite, Osprey was like kept on getting dropped on his head by Mark Davis, and eventually like he couldn't take it anymore, and then the doctors and the ref had to call it off. So that was Mark Davis's, I believe, biggest win of his career, singles career, over somebody who used to be his mentor. They used to be United Empire together, man. Um, so yeah, that's gonna set up their rematch in the Owen tournament, and Don Callis, of course, bragging for his big boy. It's like, yeah, Mark Davis is gonna take care of Will Ospreay again, same way he just did to Jack Perry. Uh, Talking about how Will Ospreay thought he was the chosen one, but he's not the chosen one. The chosen one instead of the Don Callis family is the Proto Star Kyle Fletcher, who just came back from injury as well, and betrayed his best friend Konosuke Takeshita, the new AEW International Champion. So Kyle strolls in, and he talks about how, like, a lot of people have been asking me how is it possible to recover from a meniscus injury this quickly in like a 2 month span. And truth be told, I'm just a genetic anomaly, man. Like, I can't be touched. It was a Christmas miracle, and funny enough, he was born on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1998. Shout out, class of 98. It was like, yeah, man, I'm built different, basically. Like, I'm not the normal kind, I'm cut from a different cloth. And another reason why I force myself to train harder so that I can come back faster is because of the rift caused in the Don Callis family between Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada. So he always felt like he was the middleman between these two, trying to be the mediator. But he was capping. He was capping in this promo because he was saying that it was Konosuke Takeshita's fault that there were problems in the Don Callis family, when it's actually the antagonizing nature of Kazuchika Okada as the Chrudman, as the senpai of Takeshita, because he was always undermining and underestimating him throughout the entire rivalry since 2025. So Kyle Fletcher was like, I position myself to be the glue that holds his family together, But then, as soon as I got taken away, I was out of action, which he's now cleared to wrestle again. Like, you guys just went at it, and you broke things up, and now Kyle Konosuke is no longer a part of the Don Callis family. He's no longer a part of the faction. He's his own man, which is what I wanted to see, and I'm glad it happened. So Kyle is like, now that I'm cleared to wrestle, Prob's gonna take that title from you. And then Konosuke Takeshita's music hits. I'm like, there's my boy, the Alpha. The Alpha pulls up, dripped in his swag, you know what I'm saying, holding up the AEW International Championship. And, numbers game things. He saw, was like, okay, so there's one of me and there's many members of the Don Callis family. So I pulled up with some backup. He had the conglomeration with him. So Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy. He pulls up with the lads. They run off the Don Callis family, and Takeshita, he gets his "You deserve it, you deserve it" chant from the crowd after his humongous victory against Okada at Double or Nothing. And he's talking about, I'm the man in charge now. I'm the champion. Like, I'm my own man. I don't need you guys. And yeah, he basically wasted no time. It's like, everybody knows that this match is gonna bang, so Kaoru Frecha, I want you. And I'm like, yeah, boy, let's go. Even if you give us this match next week, Tony Khan, I will not complain, but it will probably be the smart choice to save it for pay-per-view, which is the upcoming pay-per-view is AEW, New Japan, CMLL, Stardom, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, bro. They're about to bang. I hope they bring Mascara Dorada into that pay-per-view. Forbidden Door, June 28th. So they're probably gonna set up that match for then. And I'm very much looking forward to it. It's gonna be a classic, bro. Instant classic. We're talking about hoopers right here, man. We're talking about proper Graps. We're talking about peak Graps. Yeah, man. So very excited about that. Looking forward to that match, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what Kyle Fletcher's trajectory is gonna be, as he is still involved in the Don Callis family, but for how long is the question? Because I still think he's going to leave that family and join Takeshita, and then Proto will be reformed again, and there'll be baby faces, and they're gonna run the world. They're gonna be on top of the wrestling industry together, as they should be, as either tag team champions or world champions, and yeah, soon. After this, it was the Death Riders taking on the Rascals. Not gonna lie to you, I didn't watch this match, bro. I actually went straight to bed immediately after the Takeshita Fletcher segment. Because I don't care about the Death Riders. So woke up, saw it. The Rascals lost. Death Riders won. Boo. Rascals should win because, for one, they're the better faction. They have the most experience in 6-man tag matches, and they're the better faction, man. I don't know. That are these Death Riders. And it's very difficult for you to make me not interested in a Will Ospreay match, but I wasn't. It was Ospreay teaming up with Jon Moxley and Pac of the Death Riders, boo, against the Rascals. So Desmond Xavier, Zach Wentz, and Myron Reed. Fun 6-man tag grabs. Great year for tag team wrestling this year. 2026 across the calendar, like New Japan with the Knockout Bros, tag divisions fire. The current Goddess of Stardom tag team champions, my favorite Joshi in the world, Azumi and Miyu Hamasaki, get well soon. They've been hooping. Underrated as they are. Shout out to who is it? Misa Matsui and Chiaki of Darkness Revolution and Marigold. They've also had a solid run as the Marigold Twin Star Tag Team Champions. So it's been a good year for Tag Team Graps this year. It's been fun. And yeah, so the Death Riders won, and yeah, man. Yeah, I don't care. um, what else happened? This was the collision part of the show. So yeah, they do these 3 hour specials. So it's 2 hours of Dynamite, 1 hour of collision, and then the other hour of collision is gonna be on Saturday as usual. It's usually 2 hours, but because they have 3 hour TV specials, they break it up that way because network executives, so on and so forth. So had this hour of collision, and the main event was Hikaru Shida versus Chris Statlander. Lights out match. I'm actually bummed that I actually didn't stay up to watch that one because I was actually looking forward to it. But yeah, Stat won with Wednesday Night Fever through a table. Disgusting. But yes, that should still be my AEW Women's World Champion. It should not be Tekla. I think Tekla sucks. And I stand on that. I don't care. She is not on the level of Chris Statlander. She's not on the level of Jamie Hayter. She's not on the level of Sheeta. Yeah, I'm desperate to get a new AEW Women's World Champion. And we might have to wait until All In, which is, I guess. But yeah, get that belt off Tekla, man, and I'm a happy camper. So yeah, Stat building momentum again. I don't know whether she's gonna continue going for the AEW Women's World Championship, but she should. Or she's gonna go for the vacant TBS Championship, which, Willow Nightingale unfortunately had to relinquish due to her arm injury. So we might see Chris Statlander becoming TBS champion again. So we'll see where that goes. And yeah, man, that is this episode of AEW Dynamite. So Saturday is Collision. They've set up, I believe, a Divine Dominion AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship defense there. And the conglomeration will be defending the AEW World Trios Championships against the Don Callis family. So who's that going to be? It's Rocky Romero, Lance, and I think Hechicero. I could be wrong. So yeah, that's going to be petite, small, 1 hour collision episode on Saturday, which I will be covering on Sunday. Yeah, that concludes my business for the day. Gotta hop on out of here and watch some Best of Super Juniors and Ring of Honor later tonight. Which I will be covering other promotions as well, like New Japan, Stardom, Marigold, so on and so forth. But currently I'm still doing things on my phone, so please bear with me. It will take some time for me to sort out storage and whatnot. I'm working on getting a laptop so that I can fully get into my Joshi bag, so that I can fully cover the best women's wrestling in the world, which takes place in Japan, because the United States is not doing up to par right now. I'm just being honest. The women's wrestling in the United States is not as poppin' as it is in Joshi Puroresu. The best women's wrestling is in Japan. Watch Joshi, watch Stardom, watch Marigold, watch Sendai Girls, watch Marvelous, watch it. Yeah, so as soon as I get a laptop and I figure out the storage situation, I will get into those. I will be doing more reviews of those promotions, and I'll be talking about my love for Japanese wrestling. Oh man, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. With that being said, this has been episode número dos, number 2 of Peak Graps Mayne, with your number 1 South African correspondent for all things All Elite Wrestling, Mr. Bonda. That's me. Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday. I'll see you on Sunday for the coverage of AEW Collision, which I hope there's going to be some story beats there as well. Some good grabs, because I'm a big in-ring sicko, so I love me some in-ring wrestling, man. So yeah, I'll see y'all then.